Hello everybody, welcome to EFL Championship predictions for round 29 as we take the final turn in what's been a really riveting 3-game week in the Championship. Loads and loads of storylines for us to be across. We're going to have to do it without Sam Parkin today because get this behaviour. In a 3-game week, in the run-in, Sam Parkin has decided to take his missus away. And worse still, I think he's actually paying for it. Selfish. Get that trending in the comments. Selfish Sam. Don't do that. You're going to do it now anyway, aren't you? Regardless. But Sam has WhatsApped me all his predictions. So the show must go on, and it will. And Parkin will be back next week for predictions and an episode of the Championship check-in podcast. You will get to hear from the big guy up top. Just to wrap up in round 28, pretty impressive from me and Sam, not to break my arm slapping myself on the back here. A 13-11 win for me. We say anything over 10 is pretty decent in the predictions, especially in Championship land, isn't it? We got 4 bob-ons between us. I got Coventry 2, Millwall 1 and Oxford 0, QPR 0. Sam got Ipswich 2, Bristol City 0 and Wrexham 1, Leicester 1. And how about this? Parkin's not here and there are no public apologies to give. We didn't screw anybody over this week. I'm sure that means there'll be a couple next week. But let's roll into this. The aggregate is, what have we got? 16-8 to me with 4 draws. Did that add up to 28 rounds? Yes, it does. I think, fingers crossed, I'm coasting into a win finally this season. But hey, many a slip betwixt cup and lip. Let's get into round 29. Friday night, Derby versus West Brom. And if you take the title race and the automatic promotion race out of the equation, the biggest storyline by far this midweek was West Brom. And West Brom 0, Norwich 5. Absolutely galling second half for the West Brom fans there. Complete collapse. New manager in, Eric Ramsey, second game. Big problems. Obviously losing to Norwich meant that tide definitely was going to be rising. Will West Brom get caught like Luton did last season? Me and most of us who cover this league were saying, oh, come on. Look at the financial picture. Luton can't go down. We're at Luton right now, and West Brom will heed that warning, especially given they put the final nail in Luton's coffin at the Hawthorns in round 46 of last season. Sam's up first with this one, and Derby are actually on for a 9-point week, and fair play to Eustace, because we always say in the 3-game weeks, it's very, very hard when you go back-to-back away games. They have done just that, Derby, and taken 6 points from trips to Preston and Charlton as well. I know you can argue they're kind of good matchups for the way Derby play. You know, you want to fight Derby, and maybe Derby win those types of games. But look where Preston are in the table, and Derby have gone away there and got the victory, gone to Charlton midweek. So Sam Parkin has gone for the pain to continue for the West Brom fans and the horrible start for Eric Ramsey to continue. Sam's gone for a 0-point week and a 2-0 win for Derby. He's gone for the Eustace clean sheet there. And Derby looking nice. You think if they can bring back the couple of injured players, do a bit of squad maintenance, they can have a run at the playoffs. They are 2 points off it. Of course, they can have a run at the playoffs. It's the Championship. I've got a slightly different narrative. I do think West Brom will score in this game because I think Ramsey just has to go for it. And I imagine if Derby kind of went one up, that West Brom would have to attack. Maybe the game gets stretched and it goes 2-0 Derby and maybe West Brom get one back. So I will go 2-1. And I really want to hear from the West Brom fans in the comments, please. What are you going to be thinking if Eric Ramsey goes 0 points in a 3-game week to start the gig? Next up, Middlesbrough versus Preston. Pretty impressed with Borough last night and pretty impressed across the week. They also are on for a 9-point week, and they also have gone back-to-back away games and won both of them. Some brilliant performances in the Championship by teams on the road this week. I think we've got Hull to speak about as well. But yeah, Borough did a great job last night. They were not really at it in the first half at Stoke. and they came back strong and turned that game around. Yes, Stoke have got injury problems, but this is a run-in, and all eyes, all the pressure. My watch-along was full of Coventry fans and Ipswich fans, all with their Stoke scarves waving at half-time, and Borough did a great job to win that back around. And Preston are on for a 0-point week, and they have played 2 home games as well. So I'm going to go with Borough again, which would be a 4-game win streak. And we said, could Kim Hellberg go 4-game win streak, 4 games without a win, and then another 4-game win streak? I'm going to forecast him to do so. And they're just purring. Hackney and Morris, aren't they? Just look imperious in that central midfield. So I'm going for goals in here, despite Preston's good defensive record of being hard to beat. I'm going to go 3-1 to Middlesbrough, which would guarantee Borough will end round 29 in second place. So I am predicting the top 2 will be Coventry and Middlesbrough. And as much as it worries me with all those away games coming up, I really would prefer Ipswich to be in second at the start of February when the away Armageddon run begins. I do think it's going to be Borough, I have to say. And the great Sam Parkin agrees with me. He's gone for a slightly more slender margin of victory, but he's gone for 9-point week for Borough and a 0-point week for Preston. And he's gone Middlesbrough 2, Preston 1. We go to Millwall versus Charlton, which we're going to be doing as a watch-along. Excuse me. We did the reverse fixture, didn't we, which ended 1-1. I think Millwall did well to get out there with a point, if I remember the game correctly. But, spoiler alert, Sam Parkin thinks they're going to get more than a point in this one. I think maybe the Coventry fans were just being magnanimous from their view, their lofty view at the top of the table. But the idea is that it's a bit coin flippy, that game between Coventry and Millwall in midweek on Tuesday. Maybe some intangibles coming into play there. Coventry at home, and just that momentum and that pressure at the top, getting them over the line in a coin flip game, which you have to do in a run-in. So that bodes really well for Cov, doesn't it? Charlton are having it tough at the moment. Yes, they beat Sheffield United, but come on, we all saw the stats, and the double red card before half-time was a big help. And then they go under 2-1 at home to Derby County on Tuesday, don't they? So there's still not much evidence that Charlton are playing well at the moment, and there's plenty of evidence that Millwall are and have been. And they're good at building undefeated streaks, aren't they, Millwall? So Sam's gone for the win, and he's gone for goals as well. 3-1, says Parkin. I don't really see a Nathan Jones, Alex Neil game having 4 goals in. So I am going to double Sam up on the Millwall win, but I'm going to play for the clean sheet here. I know Charlton's options up top are improving a little bit. If now they've got Dykes in the mix, and if Kelman's moving, and Campbell and Leeburn contributing maybe from wide positions, but I don't think there's goals in this one for Charlton. So I'm going to play the clean sheet. Millwall 2. Charlton 0. Right, it's Birmingham versus Stoke, and we always have a little bit of trouble on these ones where Sam's not around, or we can't. It's not always Sam's fault, to be fair. Sometimes I'm not around either, and we have to record separately from one another. We always have trouble with the scribbles, and this was the only scribble of the 12. Both Sam and I came up with the same scoreline for Birmingham versus Stoke, and it does seem an obvious one. Stoke have got big injury problems. Johansson injured. They loan in Bazunu. Bazunu gets injured. Mubama, fingers crossed, apparently doesn't have a broken leg like we first thought, which is good news. But they've got nothing up top. Cisse gave it a go last night. And I think both Sam and I are obviously thinking the same thing, that Birmingham are decent at home. They've got a good little run now, building off the win against Coventry at the end of the last block of games, and then the FA Cup win at Cambridge. So we've both taken the home win. And my prediction is 1-0 to Birmingham, which would be a lovely run, wouldn't it, through January. Chris Davis, much needed. Sam complained last time that we couldn't have duplicates, so I messaged him back and he has altered his scoreline to give Birmingham an extra goal. So Sam moves from 1-0 Birmingham to a 2-0 Blues win. And if you're keeping tabs, we've both gone for 4 home wins already. We are stacked on the home teams in round 29 so far. Is that about to change because it's Blackburn versus Watford? It is for Sam, and Blackburn are really struggling at the moment. I think it's something like 1 win in 13 for Rovers. Big problems. Watford have not had a good week, have they? They played 2 home games. So coming into this, everybody was raving and cooing over Watford, understandably. And you think, right, go on. Lay it down now, Watford. Go for this playoff place. Stick yourself in the top 4. And you never know with the automatics. But they've taken 1 point from the week. Obviously, they lost that game. And Millwall were good value, weren't they, last weekend. And a draw last night at home to Pompey. They were behind in that one. Pompey could have taken all 3. Sam thinks, though, that Watford are going to bounce back. And I guess his prediction is more on Blackburn's predicament. Sam says Blackburn 0, Watford 2. I disagree with part of that. I think Watford will score 2 goals. Rinse, repeat, Shaq Fratard's third loser. I think Mama might have got injured last night, so hopefully he's okay. All that quality Watford have got in there. But I think Blackburn gets something from this. I just hear week after week opposing managers say, oh, Blackburn are really hard to play against. Man for man. Wasn't an easy game for us. And I don't know. In the winter, in the wet, assuming the Blackburn pitch holds up there, I think they get something. So I will give Watford 2 goals, but I'll also give Blackburn 2 goals. And I'll play for the Desmond. Blackburn 2, Watford 2. Right, Bristol City versus Sheffield Wednesday. Are Bristol City on for a 0-pointer, or did they have a... No, they had a draw to start the week. Drew 0-0 with Oxford. Went under 2-0 at Ipswich. Ipswich have won 7 straight games at home, to be fair to City. However, they have not scored any goals this week. However, again, they are playing Sheffield Wednesday. And I think Sam said this a while back. You'll really start to notice Sheffield Wednesday struggle now as the season just goes on into this. And it does go on and on and on. And, 3-game weeks build up in the FA Cup, and we've got rescheduled games. And Wednesday have got one, haven't they, at Blackburn. And, what did we come up with in midweek? I think they had... It was either 3 19-year-olds and 2 20-year-olds, or 2 19-year-olds and 3 20-year-olds. Either way, they had 5 players starting who weren't 21. So I think it's going to get loose, and that search for a win is going to become ever more elusive. So there is a method behind my madness here, because I'm going to play for a bonus point. Bristol City have played 5 games, failed to score in 3 of them, but in the other 2 they've scored 5 goals. Both of them have been at home. And I'm going to go for loads of goals in this one. I think they get things right. Gerhard Struber, some interesting comments about strikers. Maybe not best for me to predict Bristol City 4, Sheffield Wednesday 2. We'll give the Owls a couple of goals. I think Bristol City will just be looking at this as, right, come on. You're playing at home. It's the bottom of the table. It is, in effect, in theory, for what that's worth, your easiest game of the season at home to... bottom of the table. They'll go for it. They'll leave themselves open, but they'll score loads of goals. 4-2. I'm going to go for in the bonus. And I'm glad Sam's done this. He's gone for the complete opposite. Not the Wednesday win, by the way, but he's gone for the Bristol City win. Look, sorry, Wednesday fans. It's hard to not just predict against Wednesday every single week this season, isn't it? They have literally won 1 game. They've lost 18 times out of 27 games. Sam has gone for it to be tight. So I guess Wednesday to make it hard for City. City to huff and puff, and he's gone 1-0 to the home side. Hull versus Swansea. And Hull are one of our heroic teams, not only on for a 9-point week, but they've done it with back-to-back away games. They went to Southampton on the last weekend in round 27 and won 2-1. Went to Preston in midweek and won 3-0 with an Ollie McBurney scissor kick as well. You love to see it. And I've got to say, Hull are I hate the term guilty pleasure. I'm not guilty about the fact I'm enjoying Hull this season. They have been absolutely fabulous, haven't they, to be challenging up there in fourth place with, frankly, teams ahead of them in a much more stable and financially and squad quality better state. But they're playing Swansea, and Vitor Matos is getting a real tune out of the Swans. Mainly at home, I have to say, but he's also getting a tune out of Sam Vipotnik, who is now the top scorer in the division on his own. And Sam's got Swans winning a point. So I assume the one goal he's got here for Swansea is for Vipotnik, who's on fire, isn't he, in the words of Kasabian. And you will have deduced from the fact he's got Swansea scoring one goal and getting a point that Sam has gone Hull 1, Swansea 1. I'm just fully on the Hull train here. So I am going to back the Tigers to win this one at home. And I'm going to lean into the fact that even though they are popcorny, Hull have been conceding many, many fewer goals than, I remember there was a point where 3-2 was their most common scoreline. Their last 5 games, 1-0 win, 1-0 defeat, 0-0, 2-1 win, 3-0 defeat. So 3 clean sheets in there. And the other game was under 1.5 that they lost, a 2-1 win as well, under 1.5 conceded. So I'm going to go for the Hull clean sheet, the home win, Hull 1, Swansea 0. Leicester versus Oxford. One of my favourite predictions this season, which came in bob on, where I had that 0-0 between Oxford and QPR. And they both drawn 0-0 in the previous game. And my deductions were 0-0 add 0-0 equals 0-0. So Oxford are going through the week. Potentially, they could do 3 0 effing nils. Somewhere, Mick McCarthy and Tony Pulis, actually they've got podcasts, haven't they? Are sitting there absolutely loving this. But I don't think that's going to happen. And I covered Leicester. And I've covered Leicester many times this season. I covered them against Wrexham. And I thought Wrexham were good value for the win. But Leicester somehow do it. They're not a cohesive team, but they've still got quality. And they still just dredge points out of games that you think, Leicester are going to lose today. And they get a draw or get a win or something. Last minute equaliser from Vestergaard set play in this one. I do think Oxford are going to draw a third blank of the week. Matt Bloomfield's going to have to look at that in his first 3 games in charge. I just think Leicester won't have to be scintillating and they're going to get the win from somewhere. It's normally James, Reed or Fatawu. Let's go Leicester 1, Oxford 0. Sam sees this a little bit more clearly than I do, as Leicester are going to be comfortable in this game. So I don't know whether Sam's got this as Oxford are going to struggle to go to King Power or Leicester are going to click and actually Mavididi and Fatawu and whoever are going to actually turn up on the same day. Sam has gone Leicester 3, Oxford 0. And you would have to say as an Oxford fan, if you go through this week with no new manager bounce, no goals, no win, okay, they have banked 2 points. And you're looking at that table and the gap is currently 5 points going into it. If that gap grows, problems, big problems for Oxford, isn't it? Where are we going next? We're going QPR Wrexham. As I say, I covered Wrexham in midweek and I thought they should have beaten Leicester. And I thought in a game with absolutely terrible weather, let's be honest, the weather was horrible for the players up and down the country and obviously over into Wales for Wrexham. I thought they gave it a good go in the second half. I think Parkinson's been using the squad well and he'll certainly have more tools than Julian Stefan, who had to go with a real youngster up top. And QPR have obviously gone back-to-back 0-0s. Goals are a problem for Rangers. And this is a rarity because Sam is going to back against his boys at Loftus. Sam has gone for a 2-1 win to Wrexham. And I think when you look at it, Parkinson in the 3-game week with them travelling, I think he'll be able to bring in a Broadhead or a Windass and fitness, presuming. I just think there's a little bit more there in reserve for Parkinson to tinker. And I remember when we did post-Christmas, Wrexham used a squad really, really well. I think they're going to do this. I'm going to lean into QPR's struggles in front of goals and go for the shutout, a blank for QPR. I've gone QPR 0, Wrexham 1. Sheffield United versus Ipswich. And this is where I have to try my absolute best to not be affected by the fact that I support one of these teams. And I've said this many times, whatever I do when it comes to Ipswich, I'll be accused of being afflicted by some kind of bias. If I predict Ipswich to lose, Ipswich fans tell me I'm overcompensating to not be pro-Ipswich. If I predict Ipswich to win, opposition fans will say, oh, you just want them to win. You're going with your heart over your head. You're both wrong, by the way. But what can I do? Hey, and hey, you may believe in implicit subconscious bias, but I am going to back Ipswich to win at Sheffield United. Ipswich are on a great run. Ipswich have done better against teams that actually play and don't low block. And I don't have an issue with any teams low blocking before anyone gets stroppy about that. And if anyone's spoken more about the advantage of parachute payments than I have, I'd like to see it. But this is a year 1 parachute team against a year 2 parachute team. So I think it's an open game which suits Ipswich. Coventry came out and played against Ipswich in 2 games and Ipswich won both of them. And nobody have been beating Coventry this season. Half of Coventry's defeats literally have come against Ipswich Town this season. So I think Sheffield United will play against Ipswich, which will work well for Ipswich. Obviously, Tanganga and Samare, the double red card, that's an issue with suspensions. I think both teams to score. And I've gone for Ipswich to win 2-1. And I've laid out all of my reasoning. So if you want to view it as an emotional prediction rather than a hopefully logical one, that's on you, I'm afraid. And Sam Parkin, would you believe, former Ipswich Town striker Sam Parkin actually agrees. And he's gone for an absolute popcorn fest here. And you can see it, can't you? He's played for a bonus, actually, Sam. He agrees both teams to score. He agrees away win. I don't know his reasoning because he's off away with his missus. Good luck to him. Sam's gone Sheffield United 2, Ipswich 3. Here comes Portsmouth versus Southampton. By the way, we should be covering 4 games on the watch-alongs this weekend. Derby West Brom Friday, Millwall Charlton Saturday, and this one, Pompey versus Southampton on the Sunday. I assume it's on main Sky because it'll be a police move. Hopefully it's on. I can't cover it if it's not. More to the point, you can't see it if it's not to enjoy the watch-along. Sam has gone for this one to be level pegging. I guess the idea is that even the fact that Southampton have kind of come from the Premier League and Pompey have come from League One, that Fratton, the derby, the wind and the rain there is going to be the equaliser. I know Southampton play on the South Coast as well, but Fratton is very different than St Mary's, isn't it? Come on, if you've been to both, you'll know exactly what I mean. And Sam's got Portsmouth getting something here. Pompey haven't had a bad week, have they? I know they played last night, didn't they? But yeah, a win at Wednesday and a draw at Watford. By God, if they can beat Pompey, that's a brilliant week, in fact, especially given what Norwich are doing down at the bottom. I think fans of Blackburn, who are now in the bottom 3, will have eyes all over what Portsmouth are doing. Sam thinks they get something. Portsmouth 1, Southampton 1. And Saints did get the win last night, didn't they? Against Sheffield United. Sorry, it's a quick turnaround this week, so I haven't been massively across it. Cienza's deflected goal early in this one. And for once, let's be frank, we've called Southampton very flaky this season. Against a year 2 parachute team, they scored early and then didn't fold under, you're going to get pressure from Wilder and from Sheffield United. So maybe something there. I've gone for, there's 2 things that happen, I think, in a derby. One is it's incredibly tense and there's no goals in the first half and you get an under 1.5 or an under 2.5 like Sam has gone for and it's all very tight. Or things just go crazy. And if I'm doing a watch along for this one, like someone scores from the first set play of the game and then just it goes into an emotional, crazy game and the noise and the fan base and all of that external stuff becomes something that's involved into the actual activities on the pitch. I'm going to go for that to happen because it'll be great fun. I've gone Pompey 3, Southampton 3, which if I were sat in front of Sam Parkin, I'd be saying, come on, Sam, 6 goals in a derby, that's surely worth 5 points rather than 4. But hey, I'm playing for the bonus point and a popcorn fest at Fratton. Finally, Monday night. How about this one? Norwich versus Coventry. Now, for most months of the season, I think everybody would be predicting a comfortable away win in this one. But Norwich are good now, aren't they? They've won 5 in 7, I think is the number. They battered West Brom in midweek and scored 5. And it wasn't all just about West Brom's problems. Ali Ahmed has come in and got goal contributions in both of his games. And it's Ben Slimani has got goal contributions in both games this week. They brought Kvistgarden back, so he can help alongside Makama, who's been amazing. And Josh Sargent, anybody? Phil Clement is playing a blinder here, isn't he, the Norwich manager? So, I'll come back to the point I was trying to make. Imagine me being long-winded and going off on a massive tangent. How about that, everybody? So I think Norwich are going to get something, even though Coventry are the best team in the league to most people's eyes and, across the season. I know there's arguments for others at different times, but I think it's hard to go to Norwich at the moment, and I think all the Coventry fans are telling me it's a bit of a bogey team. I don't necessarily buy into stuff that's happened 5, 10, 15 years ago. And speaking to players, I know players don't either. I think that's a fan thing, so I don't think that particularly matters. But what I do think matters is that Norwich are in a very good moment, and this is going to be hard because you're playing on a Monday, which screws up your training schedules and your rhythm and everything, if you believe, which I strongly do, in processes. I sound like a manager here, and routine. And I know players and managers really buy into that stuff. And the other thing is, I have predicted that Hull are going to win, Middlesbrough are going to win, and Ipswich are going to win. I've literally gone with everybody winning at the top. But that's what's happened this week so far. So you can say, oh, that's predictable. Well, sometimes things are predictable because they're the most likely thing to happen, right? So Coventry are going to have to sit and watch everybody, in my opinion, win. And the pressure's going to be on. And I've got them dropping points. I think it's Norwich 1, Coventry 1. And do you know what? I don't think that's terrible for Coventry. They've got the margin for error. They won 11 out of 12 games earlier in the season. They've played a 3-game week and already got 6 points. If Coventry take 7 points, if Coventry lose this game, they've still had a good week. They've taken 2 points per game across the week. And as much as we do get into run-ins and head-to-heads, that's not a bad week by any stretch of the imagination for Coventry, especially given the cushion they've got at the top. So they've given themselves the margin for error. I think they can afford to cash in. I think they might have to here. By the way, if Coventry do go to Norwich on the Monday night and everyone else has won and they go there and win, that's a side with some mentality, isn't it? So we'll see how it plays out. Sam agrees with me on the draw, but he's gone for a little bit of fun on TV. Sam has played at Desmond and has gone Norwich 2, Coventry 2. And it's very rare. I think last time we did it, we came a cropper, actually. Public apology. Do you remember when Stoke hosted Coventry and it was second against first and Stoke were on a flyer? We both had Stoke there and Coventry went there and won. So they have a manager in the dugout with very elite winning mentality as a player, trying to, push those ideas into his squad there. Can Coventry go there? They've stood up this week, haven't they? I tell you, coming from behind against Leicester and a coin flipper against Millwall, they win the game. But Sam and I have both got them drawing. There you go. I'll try and kill this in under 30 minutes. So I'll try and do the outro nice and quickly. Hit thumbs up, subscribe, get your predictions in the comments. Also, make sure you subscribe to the Clips channel. Jake does amazing work there. We're trying to build a subscriber base up there. So we'll link everything up here. Click everything and I'll see you tomorrow night for Derby versus West Brom.